Good morning, Falcons. Today we're going to talk about economics, get a little more social studies in here. The big idea of this chapter is economics affects people. You may not notice it, but economics affects us every day. Economics is the way people use money, goods, and services. How do we get the goods and services we want? Long ago, people made or grew most of the things they needed. They also traded for the things they wanted. Today, we find most of our goods and services in stores on the internet. Then we buy them with money. In this unit, you will learn about how economics affects people. As you read, think about how economics affects you too. So some words that we're going to come across and need to know here. Budget, all right, and back to those text features, we've got a pronunciation guide by these. So we have budget, buyer, currency, demand, economics, exchange, opportunity cost, seller, supply, and scarcity. All right, so economics is the study of how people use money, goods, and services. A buyer is a person who gives money or trades items for things he or she wants or needs. A seller is a person who takes money or other items in exchange for things she wants or needs, he or she. Exchange means to trade or give up one item for another. Demand is the number of people who want or need something. Supply is the amount of something that is available. Scarcity is when something is difficult to get or find. And currency is a country's system of money. All right, so what is economics? Economics is the study of how people use money, goods, or services. Why is it important to learn about economics? Because it affects you every day. Consider the things you will use today. Do you picture clothes, food, books, and computers? These items probably come from stores in your community. These stores are part of the community's economy. They are there to provide you and your neighbors with things you want and need. In the United States, people work together to make goods and provide services. In this lesson, you will learn about the people who buy and sell goods you use every day. You will also learn how they work together to get people the things they need. Did you know that people buy things with money they have saved? You can save money in a piggy bank, but you won't get interest. Interest is extra money you earn on the money you keep in a bank. Some kinds of savings accounts earn more money than others. Managing money. People plan how they're going to spend their money by deciding what they need and want. To help them make smart money choices, people often make a budget. A budget is a plan for using money. It helps people make personal economic decisions for the present and the future. Making a budget involves making decisions. It often means comparing the cost of something with the benefit of having it. A benefit is something that is good or helpful. For example, the television movie channel costs extra money each month. Your family loves to watch movies. The service could be a benefit, so your family has to decide if the cost is worth the benefit. If they want the special movie channel enough, they might have to decide to give up something else to have it. Giving something up when you choose one thing instead of another is called opportunity cost. When choosing the movie channel, the family might choose to give up eating out for dinner every Friday. Eating out would be their opportunity cost. Who are buyers and sellers? What is a buyer? This is Aaron. He is a buyer. That means he buys goods and services from other people. Goods are items such as food, books, or video games. A service is something useful that people do for others. When Aaron gets his hair cut or goes to the doctor, he is buying a service. Where do buyers get goods and services? Everywhere. They buy them at the corner market, in big superstores, and even on the internet. Buyers use money to pay for the goods and services they want. Okay, so goods are something that you can touch. Okay, that would be bicycles, it would be your food. Okay, and a service is what people provide for you. So they give you the example of going to the doctor, getting a haircut. Teachers provide a service, nurses provide a service. So those are things that you cannot actually physically touch. All right, what is a seller? Who sells the items that buyers want? People like Mrs. Mann, who is a seller. A seller is someone who sells goods and services to other people. Mrs. Mann owns a store. That's where she sells most of her products. She also sells them on the internet, but sellers can be anywhere. People don't just sell goods either. They also sell services. Sometimes sellers exchange goods for other items. To exchange means to swap or give up one item for another item. But sellers usually exchange goods and services for money. All right, so let's look across the top here first. Mr. Smith owns a farm. He and his family grow apples to sell to other people at the farmer's market. Mr. Smith is a seller and a producer of apples. Mr. Smith needs help to run his farm. He buys services from people who pick the apples, put them in boxes, and load them onto trucks. He also buys goods such as ladders, trucks, and boxes. Mr. Smith is also a buyer. At the farmer's market, Mr. Smith and Mr. Jones set up their goods to sell to buyers. The Garcia family buys apples, peppers, and tomatoes. After working at the market, Mr. Smith goes into town. Mr. Timmons sells a guitar to Mr. Smith. All right, so buyers and sellers. Let's take a closer look at how buyers and sellers interact or work together. Look at the pictures on these pages. Mr. Smith runs a farm that grows or produces apples. On his farm, he interacts with sellers to buy ladders, trucks, and boxes. At the market, he sells apples to buyers. He interacts with buyers to exchange his goods for their money. Later, at a music store, Mr. Smith interacts with Mr. Timmons. Mr. Timmons is a seller, and he sells a guitar to Mr. Smith. So, we can see that Mr. Smith is both a buyer and a seller. When Mr. Smith is at the farmer's market, he is a seller and interacts with buyers. When he buys items for his farm or a guitar for his son, he is a buyer and interacts with a seller. Lesson 2, Productive Resources. Imagine you own a business. You need to make it a success. What would you need to make it a success? You might need a building for your office. You would need electricity and running water. You might need people to help you run the business. You would need supplies such as desks, chairs, and computers. What else might you need to run your business? Where would you get these items? Read on to learn about some of the things people use to make goods and provide services. So first we have natural resources. An important part of a community's economy is its resources. All economies have 3 types of resources. You have natural resources, human resources, and capital resources. Natural resources are materials found in nature that are useful or necessary to life. Natural resources include water, sunlight, minerals, plants, animals, and soil. They also include places such as lakes and forests. Some natural resources are used in their natural form. For example, water can be used for drinking, cooking, and washing. Sunlight provides us light and allows cooking and allows plants to grow. Other natural resources must be changed into another form in order to be used. For example, trees are cut down into large pieces called lumber. The lumber can then be used to build houses or furniture. Look around your neighborhood. What natural resources do you see? So here's a miner holding up a silver nugget. Okay, that is, it's underground in rocks, and so that is a natural resource in some areas. All right, so that's what natural resources are. Human resources. Businesses use natural resources to make the things that people will buy. Businesses also use human resources to get work done. Human resources are the people who work for a business. People who run or own a business are called employers. People who work for a business are called employees. Both employers and employees are human resources. Human resources are needed to make goods, to provide services, and to do other kinds of work. On a farm, the human resources are the people who plant and pick the crops, feed the animals, drive the machines, and sell the crops. In a school, the human resources are teachers, principals, and office staff. In a grocery store, the human resources are the cashiers and the workers who stock the shelves. So our picture shows teachers, construction workers, and mail carriers, who are all human resources. Hard at work. Human resources include people who do physical labor and people who do mental labor. Physical labor is work that uses the strength of the body. Mowing lawns and paving roads are examples of physical work. So would be, building a house. Mental labor is work that uses the mind. Lawyers, doctors, teachers, and writers do mental work. What kinds of work do the people in your family do? So that's something that you can talk about with your family. And we have capital resources. Most people use tools and machines to get their work done. The tools and machines they use are examples of capital resources. Capital resources are goods produced and used to make other goods. Capital resources are also called capital goods. There are many examples of capital resources all around us. Computers are a common capital resource that helps people do all kinds of work. Teachers use books as tools to help them teach, so books are capital resources too. Artists use paints and paintbrushes, and cooks use pots, pans, and ovens. All of these tools are capital resources. What kinds of capital resources do you use in your everyday life? All right, so here's some pictures of a few. We have farm machinery, steel, here's a server, factory workers, grains, and wood. So which of those would be natural resources? The grains and the wood. Okay. Who would be our human resources? The server and the factory workers. And what would be our capital goods? The steel and the farm machinery. All right, so how are capital resources used? Capital resources are used to create another good or service. Think about the types of capital resources in your city. There are many cars that people use to travel around town. By itself, a car is not a capital resource. If a car is used as a taxi, however, it is considered a capital resource. A person pays someone to drive them somewhere in the city. The car has been used to create a service. So we just already talked about the chart, which shows some of the natural, human, and capital resources in the United States. Okay, what other resources from our community could we add to this chart? You have all kinds of workers. We have teachers, we have cooks, we have everyone has ovens and things in their house. Bakeries would use that oven as a capital resource, and we have all kinds of natural resources in the area as well. Technology. Changes in technology have also affected our lives as buyers and sellers. Producers now rely on robot-powered assembly lines to make cars. A grocery store needs UPC barcodes to appear on their products, so it's easier and quicker to check out the buyers. Online shopping has also made shopping more convenient. And did you know, not long ago, people in offices did not use computers like they do today. Many computers needed a lot of space. In fact, they needed a room all to themselves. Use the Media Center to find out how computers have changed over time. Well, can't use the Media Center, so maybe that's something you could do at home. And I've talked to you about how, when I was in high school, we had typewriters. We did not have computers yet. Makes me old, doesn't it? All right. Have a good day, and we'll learn a little bit more about economics the next time. Talk to you later.